You're listening to the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. So then 4 years later, after your ODI debut, you umpired your first test match, which was back in Perth again, this time in the Ashes between Australia and England. What are your memories from that day, and what was it like umpiring an Ashes test?
It was extraordinary, actually. To get a test in the first place was pretty exciting, but for it to be an Ashes test was unbelievable. My second was also an Ashes test. That was the fourth test in Melbourne, but the first one, it was probably the second test in the series. I think they would have played in Brisbane, came to Perth, and I'd been given very good preparation. In the month of November of that year, I'd actually been to Perth twice. I'd been across to umpire Western Australia playing England in the tour game, the 4-day game, came home to Adelaide, went back a week later and umpired a Shield game between Western Australia and Victoria, came home and went back for the last week of November for the test. So I was quite familiar with the surroundings and knew the ins and outs of the place. I knew about the bounce of the pitch. I knew what to expect, basically. And Australia ran through England pretty quickly, and it was all over in 2.5 days. It was quite disappointing, actually, that it finished so quickly. But number one test, and Australia had cleaned out England, and I'm not sure what the score was in the series. I never worried too much about those scores, but I just knew that one test up, and I look forward to doing the Boxing Day test.
Yes, you mentioned Boxing Day. That was an epic game. England won by 12 runs. Dean Headley took 6 wickets in the second innings, and England bowled Australia out for 162, chasing 175. One of the rarest wins that England had in that time against Australia.
Yep.
And you also did another Ashes test, but this time as a TV umpire. That was back in 2002-3, and back in Perth again. You were third umpire for that test match of that series, which Australia won, obviously.
Against New Zealand?
No, against Australia. England.
That was an Ashes one, was it?
That was an Ashes one.
I cannot recall doing that at all. But there, I'll take your word for it.
Well, it says you do. It said you were third umpire for that match, so I'm going to believe what ESPN say on that.
So be it. I did umpire 832 games of cricket, so my memory's not that clear on them all.
Yeah.
I do recall being a third umpire in Perth in a Australia-New Zealand game. So I think I might have done 10 tests as third umpire, but I must admit I don't value those as highly as the 95 I did on the ground. They're the real tests.
Absolutely.
Look, to be honest, I enjoyed umpiring with all those names you mentioned. Steve Bucknell was wonderful. I had him in my second test match, my incredible test match at Melbourne, where Australia went down in a very strange day. On the 4th day of the match, I believe we actually played the longest session in Test cricket ever. It went for over 4 hours, and it resulted in Australia finally losing the wickets. Basically, we'd lost the first day with rain. We were making up time every day. So it was an extended day with an early start. We took tea early when England was dismissed in the second innings. Took tea early, so we commenced the Australian second innings soon after. And after 3.5 hours, Steve Waugh opted to bat on for half an hour to try and get a result. He was one of the two captains. That was his prerogative. If he thought, if he requested it, we're obliged to allow it to happen. Alex Stewart, the England captain, was pretty disappointed because he'd had his men in the field for 3.5 hours, and it was a lot to ask the bowlers to keep coming back. And 20 minutes later, I think he was quite happy because the last 3 Australian wickets fell in quick succession, and England won the test. Very exciting time.
Absolutely. It was a very exciting test match.
Wonderful.
One of the best in Ashes cricket, certainly up there. Hi, everyone. Hope you enjoyed hearing Daryl's memories on the Ashes. The Dibbly-Dobbly podcast have you covered for this year's Ashes series. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get the latest episodes of the podcast, and like and share our Facebook page, and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Also, the podcast is now on Anchor, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, keep safe and bye for now.